This will be a day long remembered.
You're listening to Comics Podcasting on the edge of civility.
You've taken your first step into a larger world.
Hello to the Tech Jedi and the Reverend Mad Duck and all the thousands of Mean Geek fans out there. I'm Chris Gaida, alias Ego, and I'm one of the co-hosts of Geek Fallout and a spin-off podcast called Geek Fallout, the comic book episodes. If you are looking around for a nice little chat discussing geek-related subjects, geek news, or just general fun, come give us a try. Geek Fallout is a podcast featuring geek news and random geeky subjects, often including top 5 themed lists, and just general roundtable chats and discussions. Geek Fallout, the comic book episodes, is essentially the same thing with a few reviews, normally of slightly older books, and everything is 100% comic book focused. These podcasts can be found at www.geekfallout.podbean.com and www.geekfalloutcomicbook.podbean.com. We can also be found on iTunes, Stitcher, Nobex, and almost any other podcatcher you can name. Hopefully you'll be joining us soon, and thanks for your time. Geek Fallout produced in association with
Comic Geeks Podcasting Network.
This is Rhonda Oglesby.
And this is Regina McMenemy from Game On Girl.
We're thrilled to congratulate the Mean Geek on their 200th episode.
And I'd like to give a huge thanks to AJ, Andrew, and Dante for including me in the booth at Emerald City Comic-Con. It was a pleasure to hang out with you guys and play cosplay bingo.
Yeah, I understand that through that you guys discovered that the recruitment for the Galactic Empire's ground forces are really down.
Yeah, we didn't have a whole lot of stormtroopers wandering around. It was pretty slow. But to be fair, there is a 501 Legion area that wasn't near our table.
Oh, okay. Well, that's that's good to know, especially with the new movie coming out.
Yeah, exactly. So but we did finally have one wander by that was in a kilt.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, it was pretty cool, sort of mashup cosplay.
Well, we really are proud and thrilled for the Mean Geek. Congratulations on such a great accomplishment from all of us at GameOnGirl.com.
You're going to regret this.
You're such a fucking doofus sometimes. You know that? You realize just how big a doofus you sound when you say things like that. What? You're trying to be clever and funny, but it's just, you paint yourself as a rube.
I am a rube, is the sad part of that. It's not painting myself.
A Luddite rube.
Yeah, exactly. Dude, I had to, for the job I'm now doing, I had to create a signature on an email, which took me forever. I had to involve like 3 different people. It was so bad.
You could have just called.
No, because it was like through a work system. Like so, and like my boss just hit this one button. And I go on, there's no fucking button there. I'm like, it's not there. And then like people come in, try this settings, nothing. Try this settings. I'm like, how many fucking settings do you need for one email? Like, this is ridiculous. It was so bad.
Oh, you amuse me. Hey, kids.
Oh, we're recording.
Yes.
Super.
That's why I'm mean, motherfucker.
Fuck you, I won't do what you tell me.
Expose the Reb's foibles. Do it. Do it in public.
Yes. Yeah, because anyone of the 5 listeners that listen to this damn thing, none of them know that technologically I'm on par with a Smurf.
And there's our title. Technologically, I'm on par with a Smurf. Well, Smurf.
What the fuck is a Smurf?
It's probably about equal to the technological level of the Smurf as well.
But a Smurf is a Smurf that drinks.
Pretty much. I've totally given up on trying to figure out something interesting to do for 200, so we're just going to talk some marbles. This is episode 200.
Happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary, Rob.
Whatever the fuck that means. So, all right, any comic news before we dive right into Marvel?
That depends on whether you want to talk controversy or not.
You know me, I love a good controversy. That's
No,
so
you
not
don't
true.
either. Frank Joe's been taken to task by Robbie Rodriguez, who, let's be frank, that was a fucking threat.
Yeah, now, okay, Robbie Rodriguez obviously overly personalizes her characters. And she was out of line. Let's make that very clear. You don't threaten people, even through Twitter. First off, it's a full-on pussy move. Like, ooh, better watch out while I'm around, type. Having said that, if she legitimately sees the character as a girl's role model, which is the way the book is supposed to be presented. We haven't read it, so I have no idea.
I've read number 1.
Oh, okay. You've read it. In that case, then perhaps a spoof of the Monera cover was not the most tasteful thing to do. But Frank Cho is an artist who has a definite cheesecake factor to a lot of what he does.
Right?
What do you think he was going to draw?
Well, he also had a follow-up to that. Did you see his Harley
Yes,
Quinn
the
one?
Harley Quinn. I thought that was pretty amusing.
That was.
And the fact of the matter is, like, it was also... Cho has a slightly more cartoony than Monera's painted, like, overly muscular look. So it wasn't as sexualized,
Overt.
if you will. Like, I didn't think, like, compared to some of the Cho drawings I've seen.
Yeah.
Like, go look at one of his covers for a Cave Woman book at some point, or Jungle Girl, and... Jungle Girl, Cave Woman's the other horrifying.
Yes. I'd never read Cable. Nope, forget it.
I've never even seen one outside of
Out in the world? No. Yeah. It's all over previews, but I've never seen one out in the world. Yeah. Which says something about the circulation figures for fucking Cave Woman.
Yeah, well, they're all sitting in little plain brown wrappers. But, yes, was it necessarily the most tasteful decision of Cho's ever? No, I think we can all agree. If it is a book being... Like, if he did that for Ms. Marvel, you'd be up in arms.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like, the taste level that was involved. But, you know, Spider-Gwen is apparently a teenager, but she's also being drawn as an attractive young woman.
Yeah.
So...
Which also got to remember, J. Scott Campbell had a cover that nobody worried about until people started worrying about the Cho parody.
Did you see, like, in the comments about all this? Like, I don't know which article you read, but they're like, wait, where are the links to the J. Scott Campbell cover? I'm like, dude, you know what you're asking for, right? Like, you understand that you're presenting a larger problem.
And the one where she's pulling on her booties, that's not an unsexy cover either.
I have not.
And
I know nothing about Spider-Gwen, so I haven't seen any of these.
And nobody's complaining about that one. So it's bizarre how people pick and choose which things they're going to get crazy about.
Well, I think obviously the Monera thing was an issue.
No, that one was. It's like, really, Milo.
So to satirize it was probably not in good taste.
No,
I think we can agree on that. To threaten somebody for satirizing a tasteless cover is also really not in good taste. And then to blatantly lie, like, no, I will verbally lash you.
Yeah,
that's
okay.
what I was saying with my Twitter account. Is garbage.
I've started a series you probably haven't seen. You definitely haven't seen them. I've started a series on the Twitter account.
Oh, yeah?
With I call it TK4. Let's edit that one.
Edit at.
I've started a Twitter thing.
Okay.
Where I take my 6-inch stormtrooper, which is not a euphemism.
No, that would be a 4-inch stormtrooper.
Oh,
lean back, bitch.
Who I have dubbed TK747.
Okay.
Who's, I posed him where he's got his laser rifle just on the ground, and he's just kind of draping his hand over it, and then he's got his head cocked and his other hand out like, huh? Whereas his TK747 says, "This can the you're a smoking Bantha Poodoo, Laser Brain. So I got artists threatening other artists. You're a smoking Bantha Poodoo.
Nice. I still wish we had, like, I actually don't have Twitter. I don't miss Twitter. I don't give a rat's ass about Twitter. I don't even know if you can access any of these things without Twitter. Like, I know nothing about it now. I do wish we had done Drunk Tony Stark. That would have been a hysterical one.
I never did do anything with LH Putgrass. And that's an account that's just screaming to be used.
Yeah.
Especially when controversy comes out.
You should fire off, you know.
Yeah.
Start all these. Yeah.
Robbie Rodriguez threatens Frank Cho. I say not good enough. More skin on HBO.
I have
LH Putgrass signing off and heading for the tub.
Good day, sir. I've never seen Robbie Rodriguez, but I have seen Frank Cho, and there's a pretty good chance you could probably kick his ass.
Well, I mean, Frank Cho is a sensitive artist guy.
Yeah.
He's not.
He signed stuff for both you and me.
He's no Greg Capullo up in that motherfucker.
Yeah, go ahead, threaten Ron Garney with that shit, Robbie. See how that goes. That man's a giant ninja.
He's got like 40 different MMA styles at his disposal.
Ron Garney eats Twitter trolls. There's your title.
News at 11.
But yeah, it's a much ado about nothing kind of crap, and like I get, but at the same time, like although I think of the two, Robbie Rodriguez aired on the greater side because threatening people is not okay.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Drawing a tasteless cover, like sadly in the comic overview, kind of common at this point. Ooh, an overly sexualized, not in the best light cover. Shocking. Do you remember J. Scott Campbell's Gen 13 Janet Jackson cover? They were teenagers. I don't remember this crap about that back then.
Well, the internet wasn't what it was back then.
Fair enough.
I never saw letters in Wizard about it, but the people who read Wizard are not the kind of people that would complain about it.
But the other aspect of all this is if comic nerd-based culture is going to evolve to be more female-friendly, which I think it needs to do.
Oh, yeah.
Then shit like this kind of has to stop. There's always going to be a place for people like Frank Cho and Greg Land who draw attractive people. That's not a bad thing in comics. There's nothing wrong with that. Stylized. There are plenty of people who draw stylized dudes, okay? Rob Liefeld's men are...
Atrocious is the word you're looking for?
Yes, but at the same time, like, you know, overly... There's a lot of art like that, too, you know? Cheesecake Men is not seen in the same way, and I think because a lot of the artists are men in that area, it's not necessarily what a woman would find as attractive as what a guy thinks a woman would find attractive.
Yeah.
Like,
well, it's a very curious contrast, though, because I just read some tweets from Colleen Doran last night.
Oh?
And she was like, you know what I get to draw today? Hot men in tights. Hot dog. So I'm like, okay, great. You like drawing that?
Yeah.
Bang on.
Go right ahead. Yeah, like, and therein, like, you know, there's always going to be a double standard because there's a double standard on both ends of it. So,
yeah.
But yeah, I think in the end, it was an unnecessary and tasteless choice to make, but probably shouldn't threaten to kick people's ass. Like, you know, particularly in the bullying world that we're living in. For all I know, Robbie Rodriguez weighs 13 pounds, has a wonky left arm, and couldn't kick a moth's ass. I have no clue. So it may have been entirely humorous. It didn't read that way. It didn't present that way. And if you're trying to make the culture better, and that's your argument, like Spider-Gwen is meant for young girls, like this was inappropriate, threatening somebody is far more inappropriate.
Yeah.
So, like, you're kind of hoisted on your own argument, if you will. Yeah. And even, like, lambasting them, like, da-da-da-da, I was just going to, you know, chastise you loudly. Still not really appropriate.
No. And if you want a more civilized community, you have to be civilized.
Absolutely. Yeah, you know, you can't hold somebody to a different standard if you're not going to step up the same way. So, I think we can agree on that. But at the same time, and I'm a big Frank Cho fan, I think Liberty Meadows is one of the funniest goddamn things ever. The fact of the matter is, you made a bad choice, dude. Like, it was kind of funny in one sense, but it was inappropriate in a larger sense, and you should have erred on the side of caution. Is my take anyway. I don't know where you fall.
No, that's accurate. That's smart. But you also wonder, all right, well, we just had this horrible blow up where everyone is screaming about art is supposed to offend and supposed to challenge and supposed to make you feel uncomfortable. Well, which is which, man?
I'm not sure that being salacious qualifies the same way. But the other aspect of it, as I'm taking Frank Cho to task, is that it was a satire. It was not designed as a serious cover, obviously. It was a sketch cover that he found amusing.
Yeah.
And there was probably a fan base. Like, Mad Magazine and Saturday Night Live approved. Like, you can't complain about satire. So I think it was a poor choice, but he also has a right to make that poor choice, and you don't have the right to threaten somebody. So while I don't love his decision making in this, I can't. I keep coming back to the fact that like threatening somebody's really out of line.
All right, I think we've beat that horse dead.
In a surprisingly adult way, though.
For once.
Well, it's early, so we're not drinking. So, which I'm disappointed in.
Yeah, well, we need to accomplish this.
Actually, no, we're going to take it. It's episode 200. We need a drink, in theory.
It's 10:40 a.m.
What are you doing today?
You want to stop for a drink?
It's episode 200. What do you think?
Let's stop for a drink. We'll be right back, kids. All right, it's 10:40 a.m. and we've started our scotches. Here's to 200 episodes, 6 years, and
many drinks,
unlimited insanity.
Hey, speaking of which, is there a website?
Unlimited insanity?
Well, sort of. Is there a website that changes things to Latin, like translates for you?
Tons of them.
Okay, because I've decided to adopt my new family crest for our podcast.
Really?
Uh-huh. So I have to have it translated to Latin.
What's the motto?
Destroying our livers for your entertainment.
And ILO-X. Entertanum.
That's a t-shirt.
That's great. Remind me to write that shit down.
Write that shit down.
Now?
Hey, you asked me to remind you.
When the word remind comes out, that's usually like for later.
Yeah, but you know what? Like, I've never liked that. Here's my take on that. Okay?
Because that assumes you're going to remember too.
Not only that, but like, I hate when people do that because the thought is like, well, I'm not going to remember, so you have to remember for me. And if you forget what I don't remember, you're at fault. Which is the most, when you break it down, it's the most fucked up thing ever.
It's pretty out there,
like,
yeah.
You remember that, like,
when you put it in those words.
Exactly. And nobody thinks about it that way, but it's totally true. It's like, I'm too good to remember this for myself. Do it for me. Like, I am not your memory fucking buffer. Like, what the fuck? But I'm totally right?
You are. When you couch it in those terms, that is right on.
If you bring it down to what it actually means, it's like, I don't have enough time to remember my own shit. Be my thinking buddy. No! Fuck no, I'm not doing that. That's ridiculous. I have fucking 42 years worth of fucking shit and liquor. And random movie and comic book facts that won't die. I got no room for your random factoid.
Wow. Rev Rant, just add scotch.
Also a fucking t-shirt. Just add scotch.
I wish we could add scotch to fucking Bucky Barnes 3 and 4.
I hate this book so much. Like, this is the kind of comic that you have to read 3 or 4 times to understand.
And you still don't like it.
Well, I won't. I read it once. I'm like, I don't get it. Not going back. I don't get it. Like, what the fuck is going on?
I got it. I just thought it was overwrought, silly, overcomplicated, and dumb.
Like, fucking Bucky goes to the all-psychic planet, to Mac on Queen Psycho or Psychic, whatever you want to go. I'm just going to talk about them as a loop. I'm not going to do one then the other because, A, I hate them, and I don't want to spend extra time.
Yeah.
What appears to be Crossbones somehow crossing space and time, which is not what the name Crossbones means.
Not his purpose either.
Seems to be chasing them as Bucky's on the planet of psychics, macking on the Queen. Daisy makes friends with a pterodactyl man called Taro. Which, by the way, like, that's right out of Thundar the Barbarian. Like,
that's Kirby shit right there.
Yeah, Herculoids.
That's the 60s, man. Taro the Pterodactyl man.
Didn't it feel like you're like, no, man, really? A Wungar or...
That's not Rachel Weisz in a terrible, terrible Roman period piece, is
That
it?
is totally what that is.
Well, that sucks, because she's kind of wasted in that.
You don't know. It's 4 seconds in. This could be a phenomenal film.
You chose it for during the podcast. It can't be good.
Hey, I chose Troll Hunter for that. That was good.
What? Wait a second.
What, did you break a computer again?
No.
Is the interweb...
Now, where were we before Microsoft so rudely interrupted us?
So we were talking about...
Bucky Barnes 3 and 4, which is just such an overwrought, overwritten, overconfusing, and just
Super Space
silly,
Cop!
Silly piece of fucking work. Bucky and Daisy visit this race. I don't even know how to put it. The Powry or something. They're sort of kind of pacifists.
Way down upon the Powry planet, far, far away.
I hate this fucking book on the planet. No, that's not working. Somehow they get the idea, and I don't. Did he even explain how they figured out? Well, you know, if they continue their pacifist ways, they'll actually dominate the galaxy. So we have to prevent that.
I thought they were still chasing the not Loki villain from the last totally confusing issue. I hate this book so much.
They being in charge, the pacifist group being in charge, I guess their justification was that people would rebel against it and start wars. So if they don't let them get in charge...
Well, they see the future and everything leads to violence, so they just don't do anything. It sounds... It's like something out of Star Trek.
It is. It's terrible.
That's my line, not yours. I'm the one who hates Star Trek.
They're dealing with time because you can't have sci-fi and not have time in it anymore. It's not good enough that you can just have a black hole or...
Yeah. Oh, and there's a future Bucky Barnes with a buzz cut, like, who looks like Cable. It's just,
He just wanders around reminiscing about falling in love with the target. There's some weird robot songs, and oh god, I hate it!
Yeah, at one point, old Bucky has a picture of the Queen. I'm like, weren't you in love with, like, the Black Widow, like, last week?
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand any of this. And I don't want to. Like, it's not like...
No.
At no point I'm like, damn, I wish I could understand this more so I could get into it. No, I just want it to fucking end.
Yep. That's exactly it. So, I don't know if it's continuing on after Secret Wars, but these are our last issues anyway. I'm not...
Plus, from, like, a business standpoint... The Winter Soldier was just the lead villain in an incredibly successful movie,
right.
And they followed up with this honking pile of space monkey shit. Like Orlov, the 8th Russian space monkey, took this crap and it slowly formed into this book.
Wow. I think we'll just, skip the rest of that horse shit and go to Captain Marvel 11.
Monkey shit.
Monkey shit. Fine. I have an affinity for horse shit, but whatever.
I totally can see that about you.
I know you do. So, Cap is back on Earth to see her dying pal and idol, but it's mostly a trap set by this Grace Valentine person to steal Cap's powers.
Yep. And some other psycho
which will
villain.
be done by knocking her out and science stuff. To keep her docile, they've planted bombs and stuff, but the real Santa... Because this was the Christmas issue.
Yeah.
Gotta
love a Christmas
real
issue.
Santa saves the day, and Cap uses the bombs for a display for her pal/idol. which was actually pretty cool.
It was nice. I liked the image of her in the semi-Santa outfit.
Yes.
Flying through the air, and like kids like out the window going, I thought they needed reindeer. So there were some cool aspects of it. It wasn't my favorite of the new Captain Marvel, sorry. But it's still a really strong book, and they're really making Captain Marvel an engaging character now.
Yes.
Kelly Sue DeConnick has a great take on her. I didn't, again, love her first run on the book. I think we dumped that one pretty quickly.
We went 7 issues tops on that.
But I think that this is a really engaging book, and with them positioning her to be in her first movie in 2018, or at least lead movie.
Yeah.
She'll probably show up somewhere else. It's timely. It's a strong book right now. And, particularly as we're considering the fact that they're trying to bring more women into comics. I don't want to say girls, but yet younger.
Yeah.
So
I'm with you.
It's a nice one. It's not.
They're not looking
strong,
for retirees,
right? It's not as strong of a open source book in the sense of Miss Marvel or.
Oh no, the character herself has a ton of baggage,
right? And a ton of relationships elsewhere in the Marvel universe.
Yeah, and some of them have been lightly touched on, so they haven't been a huge factor. But you can get hints here and there that this is a bigger character than might be overtly portrayed on the page of any given issue.
Yeah, it's not blatant, but at the same time, there's definitely a lot more relationships and things and involvement. And it's definitely referencing previous books, like the relationship with the young girl and her mother and this pilot. That all came from Kelly's previous book.
Right.
So
we missed, so I had to think about it. That must have happened in that book.
Exactly. I'm basically guessing that that's where it happened.
But I don't think that was hurt by that by a long shot.
No, but at the same time, it is not like Spider-Gwen with issue 1 coming out, and Silk with issue 1 coming out. Like, these are brand new characters.
Right.
Miss Marvel starting off strong. Batgirl's revamp, keeping it very within her own realm.
Yes.
So, this is a little more, this is, like grade 7. This is not third, you have to do some work in the Marvel Universe to really appreciate Captain Marvel.
Which is fine, though. Because, if you can't be buggered to look up a few things or ask people about things, then are you really all that interested in the character to begin with?
Now, do you ever wish that you were a fan in the 60s, like that you were around, where all Marvel books were self-related, like buying all of them was like a thing where everything was involved and connected? Like, if you go to the old Marvel books, everything that happened, like, you can buy an issue of Marvel 2-in-1, and they'll reference a Spider-Man book. Like, they'll reference a Doctor Strange. Things that weren't in, no characters of which are in.
Yeah.
Just, this villain first showed up here and did wacky things as Spidey.
That was still happening in the 80s.
True, but
so
not to the same degree. There were so many more books by that point.
Yeah, but they were far more independent than they are now.
True.
So, I know exactly what you're saying, and it's a matter of degree, whether, when we came into that.
Right.
But it happened, and I liked it.
Yeah. Can anyone buy every Marvel book each month?
Fuck no.
What is it? 52 DC books a month at $4 a piece.
No, try again.
What is that? $208 a month.
Gotta spread that shit out, yo. And that's not counting minis and one-shots.
Fucking annuals.
Blech. So...
Convergence?
Stop. Stop with the convergence. I hate you with convergence. You're making me buy convergence. So, what I took out of S.H.I.E.L.D. 2... I sold Grit, a newspaper for farmers.
That was awesome. I hadn't seen a Grit reference in years.
How old are you?
God.
She says. Get her out of here. It amuses and delights me that Kamala trolls superhero websites and memorizes B-villain weapons.
Well, it's awesome because it's exactly the same thing that
we do.
No, that Coulson did.
Exactly.
To get where he is.
Yeah. So, he collected cap cards, for fuck's sake.
But if you go back to issue 1 of S.H.I.E.L.D., they showed him in how compiling notes on every hero as he read them and all that. So the relationship between the two is awesome. Kamala is right now like the most engaging character in Marvel Comics. Like, she's ridiculously likable.
Yep.
And here you have Mark Waid and Ramos taking her on, completely unrelated to the other book, and still nailing the character.
Yep.
And that does not always happen.
No, every once in a while you'll get a team where they're like, all right, let's capitalize on this character, and they say, here's your book, go to town. And they don't give them any guidance. It's clear that they don't give them any guidance.
Right.
It's clear that these guys are going, well, if I have to write this character, I'm going to write it my fucking way.
Yeah. Well, here's not even necessarily that. Although that definitely takes place too. But a few years ago, well, actually probably about 10, 15 years ago, I read a couple biographies of people who were involved with Warner Brothers cartoons.
All right.
I got in a, you know me, and I get in a niche, and I read 3 or 4 of the same thing at once.
Yeah.
Because I'm a freak. Anyway, one of the things that was revealed is that when Bugs Bunny first started to be a successful character, when he first really take on,
right,
a lot of the authors had a hard time figuring out what really worked with the character. He wasn't a defined character at that point.
Okay.
So, trying to find the reason that a lot of the early ones aren't as funny as later on is because they didn't really understand the character, even amongst themselves. So they would do things, and particularly back then, he was more, southern and antagonistic, and it was very different. To
he was actually flat out kind of mean sometimes.
Absolutely, but that's because they weren't getting the nuances of, like, they knew that he was popular and worked, but they didn't all understand how to make that work for them.
Yeah.
So when you're taking on another character like that, it's very easy to not get that character. Like, if you look at, as an example now, what Fraction's doing with Hawkeye versus what other people try to do with that same Hawkeye character in their books doesn't always translate.
Nope.
Like, Matt Fraction has basically turned Hawkeye into a slightly seedy, superpowered Rockford Files, which I stole from. I read that somewhere else. I'm like, that's so accurate. James Garner as Hawkeye is hysterically awesome, but it's so true. But then when they try and do that same thing in a regular book, if you will, it doesn't always work because they're not necessarily getting the essence of it.
Yeah.
So and now Mark Waid is an incredibly talented writer, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you get every character.
Sure.
Mark Waid has written plenty of poor things. Anybody who writes comics on a regular basis is going to put out some dogs. Like, you do anything all day long. Like, I train people to use registers and do math. And they've been doing math since they were 4. And I'm like, look, you touch enough money, you're going to give someone the wrong change. You cannot not make a mistake in life. It's going to happen. You need to accept that. You are not fucking perfect. So, in terms of writing and creativity in particular, you're like, yeah, you're going to write some dogs. And sometimes, no matter how good you are, you're going to write some shit that's so fucking bad, it's almost epic. Like, goddamn, that's impressive how poorly you did with that.
Like Trooper Johnson. But
Kamala is so likable in this, on top of in her own book. I was very impressed with that. And Ramos had a great take, but Ramos is designed for this kind of thing. Like, Impulse was this book 10 years ago, so to speak.
Yep.
Wow, 15 years ago now, I suppose.
That was more 98, wasn't it?
17, damn.
Insanity.
But it's hysterical. It's a great single issue. The S.H.I.E.L.D. book is intriguing right now, and I know I say intriguing a lot, but because it's not great yet. This was a great single issue.
Yeah.
It's not developed yet, and it's way too reliant on the television show.
Right.
These characters, if you only know the S.H.I.E.L.D. characters from issue 1 and issue 2, you have a good working knowledge of Coulson.
That's it.
That's it.
They're depending entirely on the idea that the people picking this up are also hanging out with the show.
Right. Which is logical, but at the same time doesn't make for a good book.
No.
You need to develop them in the book in a way that makes it, like, you have a little build up of Simmons pretending, parents believing she's a party planner.
Yeah.
Which is the least believable thing ever. Like, it was funny, but you're like, no.
Oh yeah,
no.
super scientist girl is a party planner. You couldn't just say she works at her lab.
Yeah, I mean, like, no one, like, that's the worst cover ever.
But
that'd be like
on the wall.
If we were spies and our cover was international
super science.
If we were spies and our cover was international models, like no,
nobody would believe
no,
us.
What are you fucking kidding me? Models for what? Furniture? Does he make a lovely futon? Like, no way.
Well, I'm a 3-piece sectional, really. You can pull off a chaise.
Yeah. Those two lumps in suits are my fuck off. But, so I think that this was a great issue. I still am not entirely on board with the book as yet.
Yeah, well, I quit it anyway. I just wanted to know what it was about.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, see, I'm surprised because this was good.
Yeah.
But you don't even watch the show, so I mean...
Well, I finally went back and binged the first season, and it improved immensely.
I heard the second season is a big step forward, too.
Yeah, well, that's not ready for binging yet.
Right.
So.
Did you, speaking of which, have you watched iZombie yet?
I watched the first episode.
I watched the first one. I fell asleep during the second one.
I didn't get. It's on DVR. I'll get to it eventually.
It was okay.
Yeah, I was amused and interested by a lot of stuff that they were doing, and I really like that Mike Allred gets his fucking art in the opening sequences.
That was cool.
That I applaud them taking that effort to put more of the creator's stamp on it by going, look, this is, hey, huh? Did you like that? Look what else, look where it came from, baby.
Bagels.
What?
I just say random shit sometimes to see your reactions. All right, what do we got next?
They're always the same.
What? No, sometimes you're dumb.
Fucking dumb. Silver Surfer 8.
Speaking of Allred. Look at that. I segue better than you, and I don't even know I'm doing it.
Yeah, well, that's you. I don't know what you want from me. So, Dawn drives Toomey, and that still amuses me. The novelty of calling the board Toomey my board.
It's not a Toomey.
The novelty of that is not worn off yet. Now, the thing is, they find a planet containing the remnants of inhabitants of planets Galactus has eaten, and that's a pretty neat plot device.
You know,
that is pretty cool right there.
It was intriguing. I had a hard time trying to figure out if this was the same random planet of strangers that Captain Marvel was just on like 6-7 issues ago.
No.
Okay.
No, because that was refugees from the
Spartan X.
Yeah, the incursions and shit from the builders from the Avengers crap.
But you can see where I would relate the two. Like,
oh, sure.
I'm like, didn't we just see like this very thing?
Yeah, but they were standard refugees. This one's far more interesting because it's Galactus's refugees.
That's true. So, in order to avoid threat somehow, the Silver Surfer de-silvers.
Yep.
So he's not immediately recognizable.
But Dawn, the inhabitants reveal to Dawn, look, man, our planets are gone because of this motherfucker.
So she finds out the Silver Surfer's origin, so to speak,
and his responsibility for trillions of deaths over eons. And she just can't hack it.
Yeah.
And she's like, take off, bitch. That was a little heart-wrenching at the end.
I thought, I had to say that I am a big Dan Slott fan, but I thought he did a ridiculously good job of maintaining the light tone of this book.
Yeah.
While at the same time, the ridiculously annoying pathos that you have to have in a Silver Surfer book. Which I talked about at the beginning. Like, this is a completely different... Like, here's a Silver Surfer that's fun and not fucking whinging unnecessarily every moment of his existence. But it had to come, and it came at a good point. Like, this is issue 8? 8. And it was well done, and it was still a light, fun book, but then you got to the point... And the moment where he's flying away, like, sometimes I like to forget who I am, too. And I thought that was awesome. Like, ridiculously well done. And not an easy thing to do well, either, as a writer.
No, it's so simple to make that completely ham-fisted and just not subtle at all.
Which is usually what happens with Silver Surfer.
It really is.
Even if the book has a good run, eventually it gets to, life is hard, so I surf. Like, no, fuck off.
You get some good adventure for a while, and then you get some interesting cosmic concepts, and then it really just devolves into him being morose.
Yeah. Well, you've always been a much bigger Silver Surfer fan than I have. You've collected it once or twice. Like, I have never, I don't think I've owned an issue of Silver Surfer.
Well, it's the closest you can get to science fiction a lot of times.
Well, not these days. It's everywhere.
Well, that is a recent trend. That is not a standard thing in comics, man. And I'm kind of enjoying it, actually. There's a lot. Invisible Republic, Cluster, a bunch of other things. Which will be in your next batch of homework, but whatever.
Son of the bitch.
At any rate, this was a really good issue.
Yeah, and Alderaan is so good. Like, I've always enjoyed Madman. I love his art. He's just doing such a good job, and he's designed to draw weird-looking aliens.
He is.
It just speaks to him. That and designing robot upon robot.
Bringing us to Amazing Spider-Man 12 and 13. So much. Like, every other page is a cutscene and another plot thread, and I'm so glad this is coming to a conclusion, because as much as I did dig most of it, it's overwrought. And I've already said that 5 times during this show, but wow.
There's a lot going
shit
on. It's the amount, and they just keep bringing more Spider-Men in, like the talking Spider Buggy. But the problem is, like, the kitsch factor is outweighing like that's kind of funny. Like, there's too many of them now. Although, having said that, Mohawk freaking British Spidey headbutting was hysterical.
Well, I mean, there's always bright spots. I mean, it's a quality book. It's just, I think this particular plot line has gone on a bit long and gotten a bit big, and the whirlwind page-to-page change between plot threads is a little tiring.
You know what? I'm going to agree and disagree with you, because I think it is going on for a while. But so did Spider Island. So did a lot of the Spidey events have been really long of late.
But some of them have been more consistent about following a given thread.
I actually have found this surprisingly understandable, considering the number of things that we are not reading.
Oh no, it's easy to follow.
Which I'm very impressed. Like, when you have that much
effort,
going on,
though.
No, absolutely, and there's some repetition, of course, because like the end of one book will be the beginning of another book. Like what happens in Spider-Woman is referenced in Spider-Man. They show the same thing drawn slightly differently, like always. There's a lot of that. But all in all, I have a much better understanding of what's happening in this. And this is, again, one of the things that Slott does really well than I do in, say, Captain America during Axis. Or, what the fuck even happened in the whole whispering secret evils thing or whatever the hell it was where Thor lost the hammer.
Original Sin.
Yeah. Like, I didn't understand. Like, we didn't read that, but
it took me a minute to get what you were fucking talking about.
Right, because it's confusing as
Whispering
shit.
secret evils. I was like, what the fuck is that?
But, like, we're not buying everything about this. But, it's happened primarily in the books.
Yep.
And not in a separate fucking issue.
Yep.
It's shockingly, like, the amount of intricate detail that he has to have notes on to carry this as well as he has, and the ability, and I can't even believe I'm saying this, he's got, let's say, over the course of this, 30 spider people.
Right.
And he's managed to develop relatively different personalities and keep them comprehensively different while all still being roughly variations on the same whiny dude.
The same one. Yes. It's true.
So it's epically well done in that sense. But, so as I disagree with you at the same time, kind of want it to stop. So I don't disagree with you, but I think he deserves credit for making it as readable and comprehensible and as fun as it has been.
Right. No, you're right on there. I'm looking at this.
It's going on for a while.
It's not an effortless read.
No. And I will say, though, having said that, what he hasn't done as well is differentiate between the fucking Moreland fam. Like,
Yeah, they're all just flat out assholes. One of them is slightly more brash than another.
I have a beard. I've got a twin sister. It's like, it's a weird group of Victorian cannibal spider-eating people. And when you think about how well he's done with the Spider-Man, the fact that most of them don't have particularly interesting personality. The father is a little more regal. One of them's kind of science-based.
Yeah.
One of them fucks a spider person, which is just creepy when you consider it's a food source for him in a way that isn't immediately apparent. The twins, one's rasher than the other. Like, one of the girls has supervillain dogs. Like, these are not character points. These are, like, the roughest of outlines.
Right. There was a Ben Parker Spider-Man. Which
There
I
was.
guess, you know, if you're going to make these kind of variations, he was inevitable, really.
You know, I love that. It's like, well, you know, I took my nephew and stupid Spider-Man. Like, that would totally, all right, fine. Of all the variants, that totally made sense to me. Like, the parent went...
Right. I wasn't expecting the Otto Octavius pep talk for Ben Parker, though.
Well, it was... There are a couple... Like, what they're doing with Otto, or Superior Spider-Man, if you will, is very cool. Like, he's very frustrated with Spider-Man, but he recognizes that that's the guy people are going to follow.
Right.
Even though they should be following him in his mind.
Well, Otto became very, very practical, if egotistical. He did let his ego override his good judgment as Spider-Man, but when he realized that something wasn't working or needed to be a given way, he went with it.
It's we're obviously dealing with the Superior Spider-Man who had accepted his role as a hero and wasn't trying to be the full villain at this point.
Yeah.
But he's still Otto Octavius, and he's recognizing the fact that, and when he catches the Spider-Man is from his future and he knows that he loses,
he's like, nope, can't accept that.
That's a cool moment. And when he motivates Ben by basically being a dick to him and giving, like, the worst, most evil motivational speech ever. Like, look, I fight heroes all the time. I lose constantly. But I watch their weaknesses. All I have to do is catch him once. And, like, Spider-Man's right next to him, like, what the fuck? Like, if you think about that speech, it's the most horrible thing ever. All I've got to do is exploit his weakness once, and I can take over his body, fuck his girl, and get him a doctorate. Like, and you have Spider-Man next to him. Imagine sitting there hearing that, talking to your uncle, your father figure and hero, and it works. Like, the psychological damage of that one panel is so massive. I'm just reading it, I'm like, this is so amazingly intricate and evil. I don't even know if even Dan Slott recognizes how fucked up genius this is. Like, the depth of how screwed up this conversation is so massive. Like, you look at it from that angle, and it changes everything.
It's so good, dude.
That's what I'm saying. But at the same time, yes,
I just want another story.
No, I don't disagree, and that's why I say I both agree and disagree. Like, the parts that are well done, and it's the same thing. We did the same thing with Spider Island.
Yeah.
And that was much harder to follow.
That was a lot harder to follow.
And it was still really good, but this is like, I'm so impressed. Like, if he's leaving after this, I wouldn't be shocked because this is so well done and so, like, how do you follow this?
Yeah.
And now Sandman. What?
Well, I mean, they got the Ordway book coming up.
I still can't fathom that.
We'll see. So, Thor 4. Is that because of the rhyme or because you...
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Thor 4.
So I don't remember how Thor's arm went bye-bye. But
Malekith cut it off and he fell to the bottom of the ocean.
That's right. But Screwbeard the fucking dwarf makes him a new one out of Uru.
You know, of all the dwarves that have shown up in all the worlds, in all the bars, Screwbeard, like, Dwarven TNT himself was the guy I was not anticipating seeing again.
So he gets this new arm made out of Uru, and he heads down to Midgard to confront new Thor. And it's actually a pretty good character piece as they fight.
I was expecting it to be the most awful fight they develop both arguments really well. Thor...
Original recipe Thor, you mean?
Yes. And I still hate that he's calling her, let's just reveal that. Thor starts calling himself Odin's son and her Thor, which is terrible.
Well, if you look at it from this perspective, the role of the god, of the position, is Thor.
But it's not, because he's still the god, Thor. It's still his name. She's just the hammer wielder. So,
Well, she has...
there's nothing about the name Thor that indicates what she is.
She has the thunder powers.
But so does he still.
Well, look at it. Suppose for a moment that in the previous Ragnarok cycle,
Right.
it wasn't... There was still a god of thunder.
Right.
And it was still named Thor. But it wasn't this guy.
All right. But let me...
That's all supposition.
Right. Well, let me take your supposition and counter it with this. When Odin disappeared,
Yeah.
and Freya took over...
Well, she took over the Odin Force.
Right.
But
But they didn't change her name to Odin.
But it was still called the Odin Force.
Exactly.
She was just wielding it.
But she was in charge.
Yeah,
She had the
yeah.
powers of Odin.
Yeah.
She didn't take his fucking name.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it doesn't work on a base level. That's a very small aside. The character development of the two is really strong. Thor makes argument, and you don't see Thor as an ass here as he starts to talk about the hammer. Well, he's stubborn, but at the same time, you also find out that his mother is missing, so he's coming at her for a very different reason. Yeah, the hammer's gone and your mom is gone. So he's not just like, fuck you, you don't use my hammer. Like, that's my motherfucking mom and my hammer.
But it turns out not to be.
Right. Well, no, he doesn't know. But he doesn't know if it's her or if she had anything to do with the disappearance of his mother.
Well, we know that it's not her.
Right. Well, the part where he finds out is one of the most single, awkwardly hysterical things ever. Are you my mom? Kiss. What the fuck?
I can't believe that cat just accepted you screaming "what the fuck" in her ear like that.
Me and this cat go way back. No, so they developed everybody really well.
I'm glad he finally copped to, all right, look, the magic works where you have to be worthy, and there's only been 2-3 other people ever who have ever been worthy, so if you're worthy, then you must be worthy.
Right.
Which is a lot of worthy,
Yeah.
but it works, it all circles the right way.
But then again, and that also goes back to my one quid pro quo of it, which is Beta Ray Bill didn't get called Thor. Like, the hammer doesn't make you Thor. So that's just silly. And having established that, it's not going away, so she's Thor. And he accepts it. So if I gotta listen to him call himself Odin's son forever, I'm gonna lose my motherfucking mind.
No, this isn't going to last past Secret Wars. Come on.
Although, in one of the other books, when Spider-Man asked if she's going to be called Lady Hammerpants, like, that was awesome. Or Thorina. So apparently I've been channeling Spider-Man for 6 years, because I was like, Lady Hammerpants. I can't believe I didn't think of that.
That's amazingly humorous to me.
But on top of the character piece, you also have a great job with Malekith becoming like slimy and creepy.
And not just insane evil, You gotta have even if they're somewhat archetypal, you need that. You like that word?
Yeah, very nice.
Even if they're somewhat archetypal, you need to have something that's a little more defining about your villains. And Malekith simply being, I'm the evil king of the dwarves, of the night elves, and that should be good enough for you, is really not.
They have turned him into a player in the last 2 to 3 years. We talked about it before. Like, he's a much more massive force of evil than he used to be.
And he's more flat out menacing and worrying.
And creepy.
Yeah.
Like, you knew he was evil in the past. Like, Simonson made it very clear. This guy's a dick. But now you're like, I don't even want that guy around. But they even did a good job with friggin' Unger, the Minidouche.
Which character is that?
The Minotaur.
Oh, him.
Like
Agar.
Sorry.
I was like, the tiny douche? What are you talking about, Minidouche?
Now it makes sense. But with him hiding the skull and then making the deal with Malekith, you have a different take on that guy.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. I did enjoy that.
So it's a great issue. It's a really good book. Female Thor drives me insane, but they're doing interesting things with the character. And the fact that Thor senses that he knows who it is, and now we've taken Frey out of it, which was your first possible choice, but you thought it was too obvious.
Yep.
But that was where your mind was going. So they're establishing that it's not what we're thinking it is.
Right, I still think she's an Asgardian. I don't think she's that waitress anymore.
I have a theory.
Oh? I'm waiting.
You really want me to tell you?
Sure.
Who has cancer? Is
It's
a
not,
Thor
I don't
regular?
think it's Jane Foster.
It fits so many criteria. Dives into the kiss, morally high-ended. It works on a lot of levels.
Maybe, but wouldn't transitioning into a god body cure the cancer?
That's my point.
But she made no bones about not wanting any magic doing that kind of thing.
Right, but she may have picked up, we don't know the reason she picked up the hammer. It may not have been the cancer per se. It may have been to support Thor, it may have been any number of reasons. And it also transformed her into an idealized female version of Thor, not a Viking warrior, who thinks that way. Like if Sif picked it up, it'd be just a heightened version of Sif.
Yeah.
If you think about it.
All right, yeah.
I mean, again, we're extrapolating here, but it fits a lot of criteria. And it resolves that character's horrifying arc.
Well, it does give female Thor a reason to not exist when they need to get rid of her for the next Thor movie or whatever the fuck.
I mean, the other option is that S.H.I.E.L.D. agent that they've been making his kind of girlfriend.
Oh, Roz?
Yeah.
Small chance of that, yeah.
But it salvages the Jane Foster character. It resolves a lot of strings, if you will. It works on a lot of levels. It doesn't guarantee it, but
I would just assume it was a whole new character. But that's just me.
They've established that he kind of knows her, though, so it can't be.
Well, I mean, he's been around a long time. Living in Asgard, you meet a lot of people.
No, you don't. It's not like there's a lot of only in the last couple of years are people using that bridge like a fucking walkway. Like, you know.
No, I think it's another Asgardian.
Yeah, you had like 250 fucking Vikings, and then the Warriors 3, Sif, and occasionally the Enchantress. Like, there wasn't a...
Well, who else lives in that city then?
Artisans.
Jesus fuck. So anyway, Uncanny X-Men 30. Artisans. This isn't fucking Portland. Ass. So Eva...
Asgardlantian?
No. So Eva, who until recently I thought was a really great character, but now is taking strides to become a self-important ass.
I don't take it that way. Like, she obviously... The thing that we're forgetting is they're younger characters. She makes... her teacher and leader is screwing up. He's not nice to her. Everything is falling apart around all the mutants. People are dying. She makes an uninformed choice. This is Kitty Pryde 101. I'm going to go get Professor X. He's dead. Doesn't matter. I can still do it. She's making a childish choice that might be the right one.
All right, that's true. She talks to past Charles, who is rather reticent to listen to her.
Dude,
because he understands what the fuck time hopping around and talking about future events can do. Maria's at kind of a loss about what to do because she doesn't know how to fuck the ship open fire for no fucking reason. The respective teams get the news and just sit in shock. Because they're like, whoa, S.H.I.E.L.D. opened fire on us with everything they fucking have, and then crashed the goddamn helicarrier? How many of those things did they got that they crash them every other week?
Fewer and fewer.
Eva eventually does better with Charles than I expected.
Because she's not wrong in certain aspects. The fact of the matter is that Charles did a irrationally bad thing with this dude that made sense in the moment.
Yeah.
But if anything ever happened to him and he didn't think this through, or didn't, see, like, the guy was going to go berserk like he has. It also brings about the possibility that Charles will somehow end up back. Which, it's comic books. Everybody has to come back somehow. Time travel, whatever. And imagine the realization that you're dead and, your favorite surrogate son student
is
murdered your ass.
That's got to be disconcerting, and you've got to want to change
And now the
there.
entire world's falling apart because your half-assed, I'm going to block your memories, Bob, plan fell to shit. And now you got a 30-year-old superpower mutant discovering things in the moment.
Which isn't good.
No.
Who reconstitutes himself.
Yep.
Goes to the mansion, wipes out Emma, which, of course, isn't going to last. But that was mildly surprising. I thought he'd get one of the kids.
I did not see that coming
I
at
figured
all.
he'd get one of the kids if he was going to kill anybody.
I also
Like
was surprised.
fucking Gold Ball.
No, everybody loves Gold Ball. It probably would have been the that techno guy that nobody actually likes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I can hijack vehicles.
Hijack, that's who it
Yeah,
was.
stab that dude. Emma's reaction to Scott dying was interesting because they killed the relationship,
Yep.
but they've still been kind of playing it as if it's sort of there. It's a very weird dynamic between the two right now.
Yeah, later on, they have a very long conversation that I kept track of and was interested by, but didn't really get anywhere.
Oh, so I haven't read this yet?
No.
Okay. So, are they
We'll
back
see.
together at the end of it? Or
No. Not really. Not to any real extent.
they just need to resolve. Like, some people should be allowed to date. Like, too many comics are like, no, everyone has to be single and distraught. It's like, really?
That's X-Men, baby.
It's everything now, though.
It is,
Like,
but it's always X-Men. I mean, that is X-Men.
yeah, but X-Men, there are always 3 or 4 of those. There's also at least usually 1 or 2 relationships that are solid. Kitty and
Yeah.
Peter, or Kitty and Pete Wisdom, or Kitty and Iceman. Like, none of them last, but then they go into a new one. There's no healthy relationship in any X book right now. Which is not right.
No, they should have something straight.
Yeah, like, who's dating happily in the X books right now?
Nobody.
Exactly. And that doesn't feel right either.
No.
Like, if they were all paired off and whatnot, it would be weird. This is equally weird in a different way.
Too true.
But I thought it was a good issue. Again, Bacalo has really... People are starting to look different, which is helpful.
It's about time, too.
And part of that, I don't know if he designed how much the character designs comes to right. Like, stop giving hot blondes mutant power. Like, the guy's not distinctive enough to do 18 of them.
There's a lot of blondes with mutant
Yeah,
powers.
particularly in this one book.
So,
Like, when the cuckoos dyed your hair, tell me you were like, oh, thank fuck.
I was like, oh, God, now I can differentiate. I still don't know their fucking names, but...
Who wants to? But, so I think the book looks great. It's really smart writing because you can now bring Xavier back in, or you've opened the door to that. And I didn't have the negative reaction to the Eva character because I thought it fit in the circumstance.
Well, initially, I mean, she becomes much smarter and practical about after the conversation.
Right. The thing is, like, in a classic X-Men sense, her plan is logical and dangerous. Her teacher tells her not to do it. His plan is to get blown up.
Who wants to get blown up? Come on.
So, it was a shit plan that he had, so you gotta think, maybe mine isn't that bad. Like, yeah, I'm fucking with space and time, but so is every other X-Men ever.
Yeah, I mean, there's been no negative consequences so far, so fuck it.
Yeah, I mean, what X-Men had... Alright, fine, Thunderbird, in the 4 minutes that he was alive, did not fuck with time and space travel. He, smashed an airplane a couple times and it blew up in his face.
Pretty much, yeah.
And he didn't even manage to kill him in the fire because he came back. So, like, that guy, that's the one X-Men who didn't get the opportunity. Maybe Mimic. No, because he was in this stupid time-traveling Blink Squad.
Oh, yeah. Ew.
Your favorite.
Ugh. So, yeah. That's a fun book.
It is a fun book.
It is a fun book. Why are they breaking everything on the screen?
I don't know, dude. I feel like everything I'm trying, it's not even bad in a good way. Like, this is our 3rd movie, and they're all just boring.
Yeah, nothing is happening. There's been
Like,
no...
Day of the Siege, Agora, and now Sacrifice. And, there's swords everywhere in all this shit.
And nobody's fighting.
Yeah.
At any rate, I think complaining about the movie is a good place to refresh the drinks.
All right. Coolio.
Be right back where we will talk about Captain America 3. Right. Scotch is back. It's all of 11:42.
This one's running long. What do we got left here?
Well, we're going to delve into Cap 3, where Sin has Sam trapped. I don't want to say that too many times. And details that he's always been a plant developed to spy on Rogers. It sounds like retconning to me. Or
No, it's
general supervillain bullshit.
Yeah, but I didn't hate it as much because the Cosmic Cube history. Anyone who's involved with Cap and the Red Skull has to wonder on the occasional basis of if that fucking cube is changed. Like, did I used to be like Norwegian? Like, who the fuck knows? Stupid fucking crystal box of hate.
Crystal box of hate. She has his whole family targeted in a smear campaign. He has his whole family's targeted, and she also has a smear campaign ready as she goads him into a noble suicide.
What I liked about this, though, is that this isn't a plan for every hero. Like, they've done this with a lot of heroes and it doesn't work. Sam has always kind of been unconvinced about his own heroics in a lot of the books, or torn.
Yeah, that's true.
And not as comfortable with his place in things as some of the other characters.
True. That's why he went to Wakanda so early on, too.
Right. A lot of different things that play into it, as much as it's kind of I'm going to mess with your mind cliche, it suits his character in a way. So I thought that was well done. And, Sin as Red Skull has evolved to the point where it's kind of interesting.
Has it, though?
You know what?
I'm not convinced of that.
It beats the 13-year-old girl Sin running around with crossbones.
All right, yeah, that's fine. That much is okay. You're right on that one. I'll give you that.
If I'm not going to have a Red Skull, like his daughter with the same fucking face and the Nazi uniform, at least I can work with that.
Of course, it all turns out to be horseshit, and he stops the sterilization bomb, and Sin appears to be dead for now.
Pretty unlikely.
Yes.
And I love the fact that Sin is kind of playing second fiddle to Nemo here. Zemo.
Yes.
I had to see if you noticed. And you both didn't. You're like, that doesn't sound quite Nemo. That's a fish. Or submarine captain. No, I think they're doing really interesting things with the book. And again, so much better than Remender on actual Cap.
Yes. I don't know why that happens to me. Cause it's more coherent now, and it's not taking 35 issues to get anywhere now.
And there's more of a sense of humor.
Yes, that too.
And you know what was really great, though? Is he survives because of the friggin' bird. Which is what should happen.
That's exactly why those types of sidekicky, animal partnery things exist. That's why Red Wing is there.
Yeah, and the other aspect, of course, is that they have these plans to kill Cap or, replacement Cap. None of them involve birds. Sin sitting there wherever she didn't actually die going, I didn't fucking bird-proof this plan. What the fuck?
I didn't bird-proof this plan.
You got a couple title choices this time.
I think we can just let that one lie and move forward on Spider-Woman 3. Jess barely convinces Moreland that she's concubine Jess by faking food poisoning. Okay.
Yeah, that was there's way more talk about spider poop in this than I ever.
Yeah, I never needed any of that. She obtains the scrolls, which are the MacGuffin for this arc, and tries to jet out, but gets caught by pirate concubine Jess, and gets rescued by Silk and Gwen.
Yeah, there's a lot going on.
Okay.
The main thing that I need the Spider-Verse to end is to see if the Silk and the Spider-Woman, and even the one that I don't read, the Spider-Gwen book, have any kind of legs.
Right.
Because this is all sub-filler to the larger story right now.
Right, it is.
It's not really developing her other than that she's definitely an unlucky, hard luck hero. Which has always been established. You know, she's competent and whatnot, but...
She's had a rough time.
Right. But if this book is going to go anywhere, it needs to get the fuck away from the Spider-Verse.
Right.
And see if she has any actual legs as a character on her own.
Yeah.
So, to me, this book, Greg Land is the perfect artist for it, which means he's not going to last. It looks great. And particularly because of her pheromone piece, establishing her as an attractive character is semi-important in this instance because it plays into what she does with villains all the time.
Yeah.
And, you know, there's a good sense of humor to the book. It's well written, but I can't sign off on it until...
She has her own damn story.
Right, because this is just, you know, side projects and whatnot. Like, taking Silk under her wing is kind of neat, but since Silk has her own book, you can't see that lasting either.
Right.
Unless they're going to have them both in both, which is like, why would I read these?
Yeah.
So, there's not enough individual in this book yet to really vote for it, but it's a nice side story.
Yeah. It's enjoyable enough.
Yeah, and like, you know, Pirate Concubine Jess was pretty funny.
Yeah, she was.
The character interaction is very well done, which gives me hope for it. But yeah, I need to see where she's going to live, what she's going to be doing. Get her the fuck away from the Spider-Verse for a minute and a half.
Which is great, because she eventually quits altogether, and she's like, well, I'm just going to adventure my way.
Exactly. And please, no more talk about her poop for at least 4 or 5 issues. Like,
at least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Minimum.
Okay, good. So, Superior Iron Man number 4. Okay, buddy. I'm kind of starting to come to terms with this book because I'm remembering to separate concept from execution.
Okay, I actually had a similar thing. Here, the positives are there's a depth to Tony Stark in this book. It's not as simple as I'm evil Tony Stark.
Yeah.
I'm heroic Tony Stark without a moral barrier.
Yes.
There's some intriguing notions to that idea. Again, I use intriguing. I apologize. It is, however, ham-fisted, to use your terminology. Teen Abomination is a ridiculous character. Although when he tells, like, you know, monsters hang out in the basement, skulk away, please, kind of funny. And the total outclassing of Daredevil by Iron Man is horribly awesome.
It's really on point.
But and which is cool because
he's no Batman.
And even if the fact of the matter is normally the heroic character wins in those scenarios.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I'm the hero who's bad, you're the hero who's good, so you're going to be the one. Like, Tony Stark dominates him everywhere. The only thing that Daredevil pulls off is being right and not keeping the eyes. So Tony Stark is like that part of it's ridiculously well done. One of my major issues is that the art is just not as strong as the last few Tony Stark.
Nah, it really isn't.
It's not terrible by any
stretch, no,
at all. It's just not as dynamic as previous.
Right, I'm with you. It's I don't know who this Cinar person is, but I mean, yeah, it serves.
Yeah, it's totally passable. It's better than passable. That's not even fair. It doesn't look poor at all, but it doesn't have like the huge moments and whatnot. It doesn't. And since I don't love the plot as much, and I don't love the art as much, you know, you're dinging in two places simultaneously, which is not great.
Well, it gets a bonus point here from turning out that it's not actually the program in the phone that makes the changes.
The virus in the water was an awesome.
Yes.
That was definitely huge. Yeah, because we ripped that idea to shreds.
Yeah, because it was terrible as it stood. He needed something else to tell us why a phone could fucking change somebody.
And it's a totally arrogant Tony Stark ideal. Yep. Like, no, fuck you. I'm just going to tell you it's your phone because you people don't understand technology anyway. So again, if you look at it deeper, that the author might not even mean.
Yeah.
Awesome. So there's some well done things, but it's still not a great book. It is, however, evolving into a book that you'll keep in your Iron Man collection, as opposed to no. Because that's where it was looking like, no, I'm not keeping this.
For a while there, it was.
Yeah.
I was like, really, man?
So, if it can continue along those lines, there's some subtle things going on that are being done very well. So that's solid.
Yep.
But it's still not something I'm particularly enjoying.
I'm sure we'll get there. Now, I'm very curious about your take on Squirrel Girl, because I found it to be a fun, upbeat, and, quote, frothy souffle of youthful energy, even though it was a little primitive on the art.
I did not love the art style. Okay, my take on Squirrel Girl. First off, I hate the character Squirrel Girl. I have paid no attention to it. I think it's ridiculous. It's got its own book. So be it. She is not presented in the best light in this book. If you're going to take this character and make it a humor book,
yeah, she's not coming across as all that bright.
Right. It's made to be. They're sacrificing character for humor.
A little bit. Yeah.
And she's very ditzy and whatnot. Like when you have all these empowered female books coming out that we've been talking about, this doesn't compare well. I did love the use of an actual villain in Kraven.
Yeah.
I thought he was an interesting choice because here's a guy who's not comedic at his very heart and core, but they play with him nicely, and she defeats, like, you just go attack narwhals. Really? I don't have to fight spider people. That's a good... I mean, it's dumb on one level, but, it played into his character well. And the fact that now you have this new Kraven character, like, you can play with his character more. So I liked that aspect of it. I liked her interaction with her roommate when she wasn't being completely ditzy and over the top.
Yes.
But all that, I'm not a hero, la 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 la, I feel like light comedic books have evolved past that.
Yeah. I see it. I see what you're saying.
Like, that's a Giffen DeMantis Blue Beetle Guy Gardner moment, but only after they've established everything else about those books.
Yeah. No, I had fun with it. The second one was even more fun.
Okay.
So, I won't do it. I won't do it here.
What's that?
Although, describing the next issue.
No.
That I did think she was older when she was babysitting Luke Cage's kid, though.
Well, she's in college, but she's also had years of working with squirrels, so she could be in her late mid-20s or something. I don't know. Or she could be 18. It's not really well established.
Yeah.
And the art style also makes it hard to judge those kind of things.
Well, yeah, she's being a freshman in college, though, makes it...
Theoretically 18 or 19.
Yeah.
It is, however...
But, this is no Mike Diodato Squirrel Girl.
Did he draw her?
Yeah, in the Avengers. When she was babysitting.
I don't remember.
Yeah, it's hello, Squirrel Girl.
Oh, dear God.
By Diodato.
No. Away with you. It's definitely... It's not a terrible book or anything. Like, it wasn't my first choice. I would not have paid for it. Having read it, I was like, okay. But it...
Now, what did you think of the footnotes?
That was kind of funny. And some of the squirrel interaction was amusing. There was definitely funny pieces to it. I just thought it was a really broad humor book. In a not sexist use of broad. But it just, when you look at Miss Marvel or Captain Marvel or Batgirl even, it's playing in the same vein but not as well.
Not everything has to be a direct copy of another book.
No, but I'm not saying that. I'm saying that other things are doing the same market better, which is not a good life expectancy plan. Like, if you were given the choice between this or Soul She-Hulk, which one are you going to read?
Yeah, I am going to lean over to Soul.
Because it had a better understanding of the character, although this is a newer character, and it was funnier. This is very broad humor. Again,
yes, we get it. You don't have to keep pounding that particular nail right
Well,
there, okay?
It's the correct term, but, because of what we're talking about, it sounds much worse. The fact of the matter, though, is it's not terrible at all, and it could evolve quite nicely. This wasn't the best possible beginning.
They got a couple of nice sight gags with the in the next one.
Right. And, the squirrel attacking Craven made no sense on any level.
Well, it's a squirrel. They're not going to be all that bright. Although I do think Tippy Toe is probably
Higher
the
end.
smarter
Yeah.
of the two characters.
That I'll give you. They're like, Tippy Toe's lucky she got this Craven. Like, old school Craven would not have picked it up and thought about killing it. Old school Craven would have just stepped on that sucker and flung squirrel pieces at other squirrels.
It's true.
You're like, you did well.
Let's finish off this episode and get in on some Marvel Star Wars #1.
Oh, thank God.
Wow. Jumps right the fuck in. Says, all right, well, what we got here is Han Solo and the team infiltrating a weapons factory under the guise of being a negotiator for the Hutts. Of course, there is no Hutts involved, so it's all subterfuge. But Han pulls it off, mostly.
The book is off. The writing is great. The art is great. The main thing that this book does well is support me. And what I mean by that...
What? Is that a directive, or that's what it does?
It does. And let me explain. Because other than the 4-issue Matt Kint Star Wars miniseries,
Yeah.
this book just jumps out and reminds you of how good a Star Wars comic could be. Like all the ones that you're reading that were like all the Dark Horse ones that were okay or kind of interesting.
Yeah.
This just like full on puts the brakes on those and reminds you like this is what you were like when you first picked up your first Marvel Star Wars when you were a kid.
Yeah.
And it was like you couldn't get those stories anywhere else, and it was beyond awesome. Even though some of them have not aged particularly well, this is a jump back to that.
All right, I can see that. Although I don't think that I think that's doing a minor disservice to.
It's a huge disservice
to the Woods one.
That's true. That's actually because that was a great book. I was thinking more of the Masters of the Force and Darth Vader and the Lost Commands and Boba Fett miniseries or the Hutt one shot, like all that crap.
I ain't gonna lie, there were a lot of bad Star Wars books out
But no,
there.
the Brian Wood Star Wars was an excellent book, and it was exactly what this was at the same time.
Yeah.
But this, like, the pure sense of glee of this.
And it's got Han Solo doing his normal thing of freeing slaves.
Yep. And it's...
Which actually, you know what? That is part of the EU backstory. That was never actually on screen. So
Nope.
Who knows if Chewie was still a slave and Han saved him.
I honestly, it mostly comes down to, like, the smuggler with a heart of gold piece. Like, I'm fine with a lot of things. I'm never going to be okay with slavery. Like,
Yeah.
So it's just a quick, easy way of establishing, like, he's a rogue, but he's not a dick.
You know what else was great?
John Cassidy's art.
Besides that, although you're absolutely 100%, it's staggeringly
Phenomenal looking
good.
book. The cover?
Vader being a menacing, evil badass
thank
again.
fucking God. So goddamn good. Like,
He's using stormtroopers as force-shielded fucking laser bolt blockers.
just the full panel shot of him walking by is better than half the
So
things that were
good.
done in his own books.
His own Dark Horse books.
Exactly.
Because
And I'm not trying to pick on Dark
the
Horse.
Gillen Darth Vader was pretty goddamn cool.
That was
too.
amazing as well, and I have to go out and buy it now because you made me read that. God damn it. So, I was hoping to avoid buying all the Star Wars books, but nope, now I'm fully invested.
Well, Leia's only a mini anyway.
That's true.
So,
But no, great shit, and like, Every classic Star Wars thing they do now, I will buy based on the strength of these first three. Like everything they've done, like the newer things, like the ones based on the current shows and whatnot.
Yeah.
I'm not going to delve into that.
No, like
But
the canon one.
All the
Kanan,
classic Star
whatever
Wars
the hell
stuff,
his
I
name is.
go like the Chewbacca miniseries and buy, like, you know, whatever they do next.
Is there a Chewbacca series? Did you read something I didn't?
No, I live eternally in hope.
That would kind of suck though, because everything would be in subtitles.
No, dude, you have everybody else talk and just Chewbacca react. Rah! Punch. Kieran Gillen and Art Adams do.
Put my pre-order in.
17 copies of number 1, thank you.
I will take all variations.
All your Chewbacca's belong to us.
Ouch.
I don't even know what that means.
Don't make me explain all your base. I don't want to do it. We've had a great show. This has been episode 200.
200! Bless you, fucker!
And away. What the fuck was that?
The Mean Geek is recorded live at the Reverend Mad Duck's apartment whenever the hell we can get to it. Find us on Facebook, Stitcher, Twitter under @TheMeanerGeek. Subscribe to us through RSS.
Or we can be located at our own site, www.themeangeek.com. And most importantly of all, you can find us as a proud member of the Comics Podcast Network.
Email us directly at TheMeanerGeek@gmail.com.
Can I drink now?
You may.